Hi, I'm Jamie.
I'm Jen.
Welcome to our podcast, All Things Unbroken.
Life breaks us in ways we never expect, but God rebuilds us in ways we could never imagine.
So come hang with us as we talk about relationships, motherhood, wellness, grief, recovery,
And the slow, beautiful process of becoming unbroken.
Hello and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So, this is going to be our very first episode of 2026. And we basically want to just use this as an introduction for the year and tell our listeners what is coming up. So, we have been putting a lot of thought and prayer into this. And we'll get into our why here in a minute, but just to kind of give a brief overview of what's coming up. What we decided to do is start with we want Jen to be able to share her story, and we want to break that down very intentionally and thoughtfully over the next few months. So, once a month coming out, you guys will see one episode where each month Jen just shares a different piece of her story. And then the other thing we wanted to do was take an opportunity once a month to do like a devotional type of episode where we maybe grab a piece of scripture, we go over that, we do a real life application, something where you guys can really connect with us and follow along, something that will just be a blessing to you that day and throughout the year. So, one of the things I think we need to start with is, the title of our podcast is All Things Unbroken. And I know when we were coming up with the title, that unbroken piece came from Grief Unbroken that you had kind of been working on and working with. And so I'd love for you to tell us what that word unbroken means to you. Where did that come from?
Beautiful introduction, Jamie Dawn. Beautiful. Um, so unbroken, I feel like throughout my life it's kind of been a reoccurring theme. Um, most recently, I I would say it comes from losing our last daughter, Lily. At least she was born early at 17 weeks, and that word this last year has kind of been the I don't want to say highlight, but it's been like the word that has like stuck with me because just the way that my husband and I have like felt the piece of that. And I'm going to pause there because that sounds, if you don't know, which I know we're going to be getting into the whole story, right? But just coming from the past, I would say my grief journey or my losses, I guess, started back in 2006 when I first lost my dad. So it'll be 20 years this year, right? In September. So I guess the last two decades, the grief that has happened between which I know we'll get into all the things, to be where I am today, losing a second baby late because we also lost one a couple of years ago. But the way we've handled it and the way I've seen God work in my life and me leaning into Him, not always beautifully, but that word unbroken has come from just, I guess, the last two decades of life, the losses, and then this last loss, seeing how me humbling myself and surrendering myself to Him has helped me become unbroken. Is that, yeah, that's kind of a short version. Was that what you were looking for? I don't know if that was explained well, but so I don't want to go too deep and I get overwhelmed and that's so thank you so much, Jamie, it was, we kind of collaborated and it was like, hey, let's tell our testimonies. Like, let's start with this. And I get overwhelmed, but that sometimes like if I write it or say it. So I think that this will be a good segue into that to see really how I'm still standing, honestly. I mean, plenty of us are standing, but for my story, like if it wasn't for my faith, I would not be. I say that all the time.
Yeah, you have
So
literally been through all all the things. And thank you for being so vulnerable and open and sharing that because I know it's been a blessing to me for sure. I know you're going to be able to help other people out there and it's like you said, it's a whew, sorry, I had to pause there. But yeah. The words coming to are like beautifully broken in my head, but then I'm like, no, we're unbroken. So
We
that
are,
doesn't
but
really work.
it's a day, it's like a daily thing, right? Or it's a
Yeah.
seasonal thing. And I think that maybe that's part of it is, you know, we become Christians, you go through life, you do the things, and you think that you're going to have this point in your life where like everything makes sense. And I
Mm.
think you and I, being adults going through life and this last season, I know you stepping away from the career to do all the things, and same for me, and choosing our lives that we have, whatever that is, it's always going to be something. We're never just going to get to this point. And so that's why when we did this podcast, it was like I talked about this for like a year, like joking around, because as you know, I've in the past I've done, races for mental health awareness, shared on Facebook, and so all the outlets. I've been to places like told my testimony, story, yada yada, and that's awesome. That's what we're here for, is because we're here to share with others. But the podcast idea has been around, I'd say, for the last year or two, and then finally we kind of started talking and collaborating, and you have visions of things and can put things on paper, and you can, like, you create content and things so beautifully. I'm like, hey, you want to do this? And you're like, yeah. And what's even more beautiful about our story is that we also were broken apart a little bit over the last decade, half of the time that we've been half
A
of the
little
20
bit.
years. We've
Yeah.
also been broken but have come back together. So
Yeah.
here we are creating
Ooh.
something, right? Like in part of this
Yeah.
journey that you're about to share, my testimony, my story, whatever you want to call it. In the middle of that, me and you were also missing from each other's life for about a decade of it, almost. And how we also became unbroken. And here we are doing this. Like, I thank you for that.
Thank you. Literally in this moment, I never thought of that when we talked about the word unbroken, but you just like blew my mind. You're right. Okay, so we talked a little bit about what being unbroken means to you. We talked about the podcast being on your heart and mine too, truthfully. And so thank you. I love that the Lord seems like brought us back together for this season. We're doing this together. We're here for it. And we talk a lot about this and planning and preparing and praying over it every day. And one of the things that we've always said is like, we are just vessels. Like, we are just here and we feel like this is what we're supposed to be doing right now, and sharing testimonies and, getting in the word and sharing just different things. So hopefully we can relate to people and help them know they're not alone and share resources when we have the opportunity. And so thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for letting me be a part of it and join with you. And I think it is really fun to see, like, even though we were apart for so long, and then we just very quickly like came back together. Now we're working on a huge project together. We talk every day like sisters pretty much, and it feels like our gifts and talents like balance each other out so well. And I love that. This is like one of the biggest gifts that this year has given me, for sure, straight from the Lord. So thank you.
Me too. Me too. I think you actually talked in an episode that gets me when I think about how you said over the years, like before our families got together before the holidays, was, you know, I didn't ever really understand why you pushed me away, but I prayed that we get back together, and you'd go through the cycles of like being maybe angry, then being understanding, and then forgiving, and asking God just to let it go, and then go through like, I'm never going to talk to you again, and in that cycle. But in the end, though, it was praying and then having that, here we are having this happen. And I will kind of piggyback back to that, a year ago, around this time, we were praying for Lily. Um,
Mm.
because as you know, we had my first daughter. That was a whole my little miracle baby. But then about a year later, we also got pregnant again, and then we had a late miscarriage with that one back in October, of 2022. So that was our first, like, what? Like this happens to people. And there's a whole story there that I didn't know with like miscarriages and like having the baby and things. And then, fast
Mm.
forward, we had an early miscarriage in between. And then this one, this little last baby was very unexpected. It was very unexpected. And to have it and then to go through and also lose it late, but also like that praying, there's a point here, I promise. But like every day, like I had an army praying for this child. You were also part of that. I remember like letting
Mhm.
you know at that time because we kind of been connected. And then in the end, I remember I went to my therapist literally like the week before we lost her. And I was like, my biggest fear, and I said it because you learn in therapy 101 and you speak it, you speak the fear and it diminishes, sometimes goes away. It helps you to talk through it. My biggest fear is that the longer that I'm carrying the baby, that I will lose her again.
Mm.
And I don't know if I can handle that. Like, I was so, that was my biggest fear. And so then it's like, what do you do when your biggest fear comes true? Because then a week later, I'm at the hospital delivering her. And so, with that being said, those prayers that everyone just prayed, and we're going to have this baby, it's going to be a miracle when they don't happen, how you come back from that. And we can talk, we'll talk more on that later because
Mhm.
obviously, like I am standing, I'm smiling right now. And my heart is full of love and joy for the new year. But being realistic, like, how do you come back for that? In fact, I wrote a lot about that. It's like, what do you do when your biggest fear comes true? What do you do? Right. And for us, it was like literally surrendering myself, being like, I have no control. I have no control. And like
Mm.
being reminded of that. And it's
Yeah.
one thing to say it, but to be reminded of it. And you think after all these years, I would really understand, but I forget too. But seeing how beautiful things can turn out if you really give that control. So kind of different thing with the prayer
Yeah.
thing, but it's like, some prayers don't work out, but I'm still okay. I'm still standing. And that's the whole point, is like, you cannot have your prayers work out too, and you can still be okay. That was kind of the whole,
Yeah.
I kind of went off a rant there. Sorry.
I think what's really inspiring and notable too is that not only were those prayers not answered the way that you hoped they would be, but like not only are you smiling and still standing, but like your faith in God, I think, is stronger. And I can't speak to living through that specific experience, but I can tell like when we go through hard things in life, a lot of times it's a pivoting point for a person either direction. And sometimes they lose their faith, blame God, hate God, walk away, the whole thing. Or it's the other direction of like, wow, Lord, you really showed me that like we have no control on this earth. And then like all we can do is throw up our hands and surrender and trust you, even when it doesn't work out the way we want it to. And so I think it's really a pretty huge testimony to see that that's the direction that you went.
Thank God, right? No,
Yeah.
back in the day when I first started doing the mental health awareness advocacy, and we started raising money for races and putting on the race back in Dallas years ago. I remember writing a lot about, like, it was called the Don't Quit 13.1. You ran it. But one of the things that I really focused on then was everyone goes through things in life. Everyone is going to go through something. People, you say, I've been through all the things. There's a dozen, I mean, thousands, however many more people that have gone through 20,000 times more, 20,000 times. Sorry, we're going to cut that. I'm dramatic sometimes, but like more. There's always someone that's going to go through more than another person, right? The difference, what you're saying, and I agree, is you have a choice. And so then it's like you have a choice. What are you going to do? You have all these choices. One, you're going to continue. Two, you're not. But the thing about it is, if you're going to continue, what kind of attitude are you going to have about it? So what you're saying is, yes, I would rather have one of faith and surrender and go through life and not have bitterness and resentment than to have one full of all those things. Because I have also throughout the years fought bitterness and resentment. And mine haven't necessarily been, I don't think, like towards God. And maybe part of it has, but it's mainly been towards other people in my life. Hence, not that I was bitter towards y'all, but like I put a wall there because it was easier just not to deal with the feelings and emotions. And you know what I mean? Let's go live our lives and move on. But also just coming back and like the healing of being connected to people is so much more. Seeing people as we're all human. Like, people don't know what to do after, your mom takes her life. They don't know what to say to you. The people don't know what to say to you when you lose babies. Like, people that I love very much do not know how to handle the things. Also, that's not the responsibility to know how I'm feeling about it And I've learned that. And
Right.
maybe that's being in my 40s is being able to explain that. And so also like part of our testimony who we are is like being an advocate for people that don't know how to speak about things. Because
Yeah.
before I lost Madison in 2022, I had no idea the difference between an early miscarriage, a late miscarriage. I had no idea the different things.
Yeah.
And once you learn that, it's pretty eye opening of like what that entails. Anyways, and we've talked about that before, but and that's with anything in life that we go through, right? It can be anything. So that I think that as we're here to share ourselves, to help other people, to give them hope, but also, like you said, we're a vessel. I am not the person. You are not. We are not the people to tell anyone to do the things. I'm just here to share what I know that's helped me because I also know if I can go through some of the things that I've been through and still have some joy, like I want to share that with as many people as I can. Right.
Yeah.
Like I want you to have joy. I want everyone to have joy, you know?
Yeah. For sure.
And not saying it's easy because there's been
Yeah.
times that I've not felt like getting up, but God put something in me. Maybe it was when I was over there in Korea, put something in
Mm.
me to like keep on going and getting up and being happy. Like I don't know what happened, but that's just my dad. I think it was from my dad. My dad was a very joyful man. He always, no matter what was going on, he always had a smile on his face and was happy. So
Always.
always,
Always. And can I
yeah.
say this?
Say it.
But I will say this, when we saw my Uncle Gary, his shell in his casket, it did not look like him because there was no joy in that body. I didn't even recognize him
I know. I
because
know.
that's just how like joyful he was. Like he was a full presence for sure. And I do believe you carry that one in you.
Oh, well, that is, I used to always say if I was even half of the person, like just his, how the joyful person that he was, um, like that's it. Like I am getting all emotional, but he, I don't sit and think about him a lot and like what he stood for. But I'm so thankful that I had him. Like, because I don't think that I could be obviously where I am now because you're right. He was literally like, he could go talk to the president of the United States or he could go talk to someone who was homeless under a bridge. And he would give anyone the shirt off of his back. And that's just who he was. And
Yeah.
like, I just happy and even go through stuff with mom at home. Like she'd be at home in bed all day. She'd go and like be one of her depressive states. And anyone that didn't know him, like they would never know. And I don't know if that was always a good thing because I there's a whole bunch there, but
Yeah.
it just says something, because we're not here to just look at it ourselves and just feel sorry for ourselves and say my world is bad. Like, and I don't know if that's also healthy because everything that happens, like, oh, I'm going to go help everyone. I think you also, like, you remind me even now, like sometimes you can sit in it and you have to feel the
Yeah.
feelings too, right? And I've learned how
Yeah.
to do that over the years with therapy and prayer and all the things have helped me. There's a book, Untangle Your Emotion by Jenny Allen, that I read last year that has really helped me this year just to like walk through and sit and feel the emotion. And also, another thing I've learned is it's okay to like be mad at God.
He can
It,
handle it.
but I don't know where that came from. Like, I always kind of felt guilty, like being not even mad at him, but just like telling him how I really felt. I don't really know where that's going to go, but I just feel like I don't know. It's just a thing. Like it's a guilt thing. But
I think
lamenting,
he can handle our emotions, he can handle our confusion, he can handle our frustration, he can handle and shoulder every bit of it, and he understands it. And then just sometimes at the end of the day, we don't get an answer to the why question. We're not going to know why, but he can handle our emotions for
yeah,
sure.
absolutely. And I really learned a lot this last year too of lamenting. Have you been in that world yet? Lament. It's a whole.
Yeah, I have certainly lamented a few things, but I will say
I
I haven't walked through, some of the things that you've walked through.
But I mean, and that's another thing I do want to point out while we're speaking of it, and I know Jamie said things because I feel like everyone has been through something on different levels, and one of my one of my very good friends, she lost her son 2 years ago. He was 9. And then she just recently lost her mom this year.
Mm.
And I will say she's part of my like close friend group, the one that we've known each other for 30 years or over, a long time, maybe not, yeah, a while. Anyway, and before that happened with her son, I remember out of the group, I remember we had just lost like Madison. And I remember like my friends really rallied around me, all the things. And then, you know, period later that happened. And I remember going and being there and being like, be honest with how you're feeling. Like, don't cover it up. That's what we'd be covered. Don't, if you
Mm.
are not okay, you can say you're not okay. Don't act like anything. Like, and us really talking through that whole process. And I think going through what I went through, I was actually telling my husband this today. I was like, the reason my heart is there for someone who's grieving with a loss, who's going through a divorce, whatever the things are, is because even though we're different, I try not to compare. I know, like at the time, what I would have wished I would have had. And I just try to do that for people that are going through that because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that I kind of keep in my back pocket that I remember.
Yeah. And it's hard to know how each person's going to respond, but I think
Right.
each person at least would probably want somebody to say or give that permission of like, I'm just here. Tell be whatever you need to be. Don't feel like you have to protect my feelings and what you're going through. Like, do if you want to tell me what you need, tell
Yes.
me. If you want me to go away, I'll go away. Like,
Yeah. The biggest thing I will say is people will say, like, well, let me know what you need. If when you're going through something, when you're going through hell, I'm just going to say it. If you're going through whatever that is, a loss, your world just blew up, someone got a diagnosis, like anything, they're not going to, some people may be healthy enough to be like, okay, this is what I need. But most people are not going to be like, this is what I need. So
yeah.
one thing I've learned, just go drop off paper plates. I think I actually heard that on like a Mel Robbins episode, or just send a
Mm,
gift card. Go put a meal out. Send a text, say, I love you, I'm thinking about you. Like that is the one thing that I've taken away from all the things is just show up, whatever that is. I know for our last loss, I had three of my best friends literally the day that we had her. They were my husband and they're like, we're gonna come. We know they also know how I am. I'm not very like, I'm okay, I'm okay. And they all three showed up. And looking back, it makes me emotional thinking about it. That was like the best thing. They literally just came with food and hanging out, like, what do you need? And we're just with me for the night. Just loved on my family, loved on my daughter, and we're just there. And when people go through stuff, just the little things do count. Saying something is better than nothing. That's what I will say. Doing something is better than nothing. And not because we have to be saviors or anything, but it's just, people aren't going to
yeah.
tell you what they need necessarily, right? Go take
Yeah.
them a meal.
And you can't fix it. You can't solve
No.
a problem, but you can just say like, this sucks and I love you. Like,
Yep. You were great at that, by the way, even after the last losses. I mean, there's times you're like, I don't know what to say, but I know, like, I love you and I'm here. And the other thing, I don't know where we're kind of going off, but the other thing is like, the I can't imagine. I don't say that because we can't imagine. And the thing about it is you can't imagine. And that's why you don't want to. So for me, like I'm going to imagine what that person's going through because I could only imagine how it would feel. And that's going to make me more like, is it empathetic or like empathetic to what they're going through. And I think there's something, I think maybe in our world, maybe we need to imagine more of what people are going through. Maybe we'd not be so disassociated with connection,
yeah,
honestly. That's a whole nother
for sure.
episode.
For sure.
Episode.
I know when you say I can only imagine, I'm derailing now, but it's like they played that song at your dad's funeral, and I
They
remember
did.
like I can only imagine
Yeah.
what it'll be like when we're all together. That's a total derail.
Oh,
Anyway.
no, because here's the thing too. Going through these things in life that we will talk in more detail over. I know I've given a little bit. The thing that gets me through, the thing that gets me through is that I will see my children again. I will see my dad again. We will see Nanny again, Papa Dan, my mom. Like, that is what gets me through. If just in case anyone's wondering, like,
Yeah.
that is literally what gets me through, because the thought of not seeing the ones that we love that are that big a part of our hearts again, I don't know if I could go on, especially after these last losses with my daughters. If I did not know, if I only knew that I was going to hold them for those moments and never hold them again, I would not be able to go on. And that is real. That is some real talk right there. But I know I will see them again. And I know we will all be together. And that's what gets me through. And Jesus, of course. I mean, of course, God. But I'm just saying, like, those that, because I don't know what the word is, but
I'm just sitting with that for a minute because,
okay, sit with, yeah. I mean,
wow. Yeah.
we need to
Because,
just sit and meditate sometimes because I don't do that enough. But anyway,
yeah. Well, like, I don't know. My brain starts going other places that are probably not like podcast polished. Like, but
we aren't a polished podcast, Jamie Dawn. We're not a polished podcast, are we?
true, true. I know that's why people love us so much.
Us and like our two friends.
Well, what I was thinking was like, you're talking about the separation, and it's like, you know what? That's what hell literally is. It's like separation from God. And it's like that element too of being separated from your people. Like, that's feels like another level of hell. So, yeah, like we will be together. I never even got to meet Papa Dan. I never got to meet your babies. And I'm like sitting here like, ooh, I'm going to get to meet them. Like, I love it.
Oh yeah. How about this? I was about 3.5, I think, or something when he passed. So you weren't here yet.
I
And
was
Pop,
not. There
yeah.
was somebody had said that right before he passed, he kept saying, "Who's that little blonde girl running around the house?" And nobody knew there was a little girl coming along. And then all of a sudden, 9 months later, I was born. So take that for whatever it is.
Sorry.
You know,
I'm laughing.
if
No,
you're a pretty
yes.
logical person, you can pick it apart and tell me I'm crazy, but that's just what happened.
No. I believe no, I think that that's awesome. And I love it that your mom has that memory of her dad,
Yeah.
because how special is that? And then you were here and you are a little Jamie Dawn was literally the cutest baby I've ever seen to this day. You were literally the cutest baby. That's
Thank
how I
you.
still see you, by the way, is a baby. Like, I remember you were so cute. Oh my gosh, you're still so cute, but you were just adorable. Like, I see pictures of
Yeah.
you and we all have cute children. I think my daughter's cute, but you were adorable. Okay, moving on.
Well, I'm pushing 40 almost,
Oh,
and you still pick up the phone and you're like, baby cousin. I'm like, no, I'm
sorry.
almost
Yeah, that
40.
annoy you? I can stop that. That annoys
No,
you.
it's fine. It's
I'm
fine.
okay.
We
I can't
derailed
help
a
it.
little bit. Thank you for
Yep.
sharing your
Yep.
testimony. Thank you for being vulnerable and open to do all of this. And I'm excited. I'm excited that we're just being vessels and we're just going to do what we feel like we're led to do and put it out there. And hopefully we can, help some people, encourage some people, or just
Absolutely.
come alongside and just say, been there, you're not alone. Point people to the Lord, and maybe we'll get some calls and some emails and some people that we can love on. That would
I
be
love it.
ultimate. So
Yes, ma'am. Let's go. Let's go 2026.
yeah,
Life is
good.
messy, but we can be unbroken by all the things.
I love it.
Let's go. All right. Thank you. And I look forward to chatting with you again.
Yeah, thank you. Let's go.
Let's go. Love
Bye. Love
you.
you. Bye. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We truly hope this episode has touched your heart.
If someone came to mind while you were listening, please feel free to share this with them.
And if you have any questions or feedback for us, you can reach us at allthingsunbrokenpodcast@gmail.com.
Have an awesome day.